I am not here to debate with anyone. I only debate with my equals. All others I teach.
All right. This is going to go to Black Privileged. Okay. Normally when I do a response, and I try to do a response as accurately as I can, I try to make cuts so I can make a cogent argument and respond to points that somebody has made against a video that I have actually put up. And I put up several videos on Section 8 as much as a cathartic exercise as information. And what I keep getting back, I keep hearing back, is the same thing that the 70s social scientists and even the 70s liberals were having a problem with, is that trying to solve the ills of the Black community, even back in the 60s and 70s, was forestalled by basically the matriarchy and the men actually protecting the matriarchy. You can't actually criticize it or do anything with it because nobody wants to acknowledge the problem. Nobody wants to hold Black women accountable. Was that then? Still is now. Back then, even though they noticed the problem, and a lot of economists and a lot of Black people, smart Black people that were in power, noticed it, that the remedies that was put forth to solve the Black community's problem didn't work for the Black community. But you couldn't dig into the problem because that would be casting a bad light on Black women. I was just reading that about in William Julius Wilson's book, The Truly Disadvantaged. And that is now a 30-year-old book. And he was saying it then, looking back on the 60s and 70s, that the blame the victim narrative, which white women have adopted to their narrative, was used toward Black women. But that forestalled the remedies that needed to be taken to basically repair the Black community so they could be normal. And lo and behold, over 50 years later, it's still going on. You are the embodiment of that same narrative that keeps the Black community from coming together and fixing itself, because as long as you protect this kind of stuff, protect this kind of behavior, nothing will get done. Now, there's a far cry from the problems that were actually going on with Black folks back then and the remedies they used to fix it than what's going on now. It's become an instrument to help lift Black people and keep Black people alive and Black children alive, especially to an institutional hustle. And most Black men are not talking about helping Black folks or helping Black women, but cutting down on the hustle that encourages bad behavior. Now, all this Section 8 talk is a warning to Black folks. What I said last year was a warning to Black people. I have been consistent about warning Black folks with what is coming, which is why I'm here, warning them what is over the horizon. Even white folks, at least with white people, when they come into my section and they look at my material, they might get upset about it, but they argue me on the points. You, my friend, are not arguing on the points. You're shook, just like the women are shook when you talk about the so-called apocalypse. Apocalypse is not even here. You know, that is the first trumpet. They haven't poured out the first seal yet. Apocalypse is not here because they're picking on Black people or institutional racism. This is an actual worldwide Western civilization turnover that's been coming for the last 20, 25 years. Now, had you been actually paying attention to what I have been showing and have been teaching, like most of my subscribers, you would know this already. Your attitude and reaction means, guess what? You didn't learn shit. I don't even know why you come to my channel. I don't even know why you discuss me, because you didn't learn shit by looking at my channel. Had you been on my channel and actually look at the videos and actually argue the points I was trying to make in my videos, actually have to go in and do the research, then you would have learned something. You would have learned what I'm trying to teach. Instead, you make a self-righteous, emotional videos talking about how I'm slick. Let me be blunt for a second. Let me get down to the Negro level for a second. Motherfucker, please. I ain't got time to look down on motherfuckers like you. Cockroach, are you serious? Is that where your mentality is? Your ideas are so small and so petty that you can't see past the bullshit of the stuff that's coming in and actually see reality. I'm trying to clean the bullshit off your glasses so you can see reality. This shit is coming. And it doesn't matter which president is in office. Barack Obama, who is black, cut off most of Section 8, suspended most of Section 8 4 years ago. Barack Obama slowly started turning down the food stamps and the SNAP cards 4 years ago. I talked about, in real life, I talked about the SNAP cards in 2009 and how the only reason that the SNAP cards were still in place and people still eating is because they did not want riots and they didn't want the cities burnt down until they had a chance to figure out a better way forward. If you actually did your work and did your due diligence, you would realize that there are 98 million people that are not working. When you cut off, when you actually subtract for the 30% of people, of citizens in the United States that are under the age of 18, which will be deemed children, that leaves you with what? That leaves you with about 240 adults. And we have 98 million people that either are retired or not in the job force at all, and not looking for work. Or even the people who are the another 25% that are actually minimally employed. The government does have issues. It's not a race thing. It has nothing to do with institutional racism. It's structural. It's financially structural, which financiers have been screaming about for the last 20 years. But the thing is, you have your head stuck up your ass and you cannot see it because you're worried about what the Negro manosphere has to say. So you're mixing in liberal talking points, which liberal talking points you don't even understand. So you slag people like me, pick people like Obsidian that actually pick up books and actually read and try to understand the reality of the problem that we're facing. The black community is a subset. The black community is not a separate entity. The issues with the black community as far as racism is concerned, I've documented that shit, man, to ad nauseum, basically on my channel, which is one reason why a lot of people say in real life say I probably shouldn't waste my time, especially on YouTube, telling you about stuff that most people won't even talk about. I listed, God knows what, at least 10, 15 books that you can actually pick up and read, and you can actually study about this stuff because this stuff is structural. Stuff didn't just happen out of the blue. Stuff didn't happen for no reason. Stuff didn't happen just because they don't like black people. This is a structural problem that has been going on since the Industrial Revolution first started. Even before that. Stop being fucking small-minded. Stop being emotional. Stop trying to talk about my subs eating donuts and sitting out on the corner that are homeless. Most of these guys make close to 6 figures. I can't say the same thing for your subscribers. I even know who they are. If you look at the subs on my channel, the guys are out in the street and can't put 2 nickels together, would not even gravitate to my channel because they don't understand it. I'm starting to believe that you are probably in that number, that most of what I talk about goes over your head. You can't even argue the video. I made 3. You can't even argue the freaking video, especially on one when I had my red pill rant about the Section 8 rant. I talked about the stupidity of black women, one, doing this stuff by playing this game that's actually going to put them in a severe disadvantage when that cuts actually come. And number 2, the black women co-signing this shit and not putting their foot up these women's asses and getting them off this stuff because they're in the middle of the street. And am I the only adult in the room that's actually snatching these kids out of the middle of the street, man, and pulling them to safety? You're in the middle of the fucking freeway trying to cross, and you're like an idiot with a crossing guard band trying to usher these women back and forth in the middle of the freeway instead of getting them off the freeway and getting them out of danger. They're not going to listen to any solutions if the environment does not change. Everybody knows that. The government knows that. The economists have been arguing that for God, 30, 40 years. They were arguing it back when Moynihan said in 1965. If you're going to come at me and debate me about something like that, man, at least fucking pick up a goddamn book. Stop throwing around liberal talking points because of a video that you heard. Dig into the problem, make some sense. I tried to cut your video. I'm looking at the cuts in your video, man. It's all emotional shit. At the very end, when you talk about black men suffering, being happy to be mules for women and children and be happy about it. Black men are no longer happy mules. Why should they be? I'm going to train black men to suffer, break their backs and die an early death and train them to be happy about it. Are you fucking kidding me? If that's the case, where are your children? Where's your wife? Where's your children? You're telling me to tell somebody else to do something that you're not doing. I hate people like you that talk about what other black men should do, about what walk they should walk and what they should say, what they should stand up for when you're not married. I have children. I've got grandchildren. I'm reparenting my children so that my grandchildren will be better. I teach every day my 4-year-old grandchild to read. I have a 3-year-old grandson that I'm trying to teach how to write. I walk the fucking walk. Do you? I work in the community. Been working in the black community for 30 years. Do you? All you cats that are on here talking about the Negro manosphere hurting women's feelings do not have children, do not have wives. Like I said, like you said, I've been through this shit already. So you're trying to tell me something that I know and you don't. Of course, black women are going to take your side because they don't want to change. They want you to help them keep doing the same thing that they've been doing. Now, if these black women were out there protecting their children, protecting their sons, picking their ass up, going to the fucking PTA meeting and making sure that the resources stayed in their community, I would co-sign with you. If these black women were at home with hooked on phonics books and a dry erase board or a pencil and piece of paper teaching their children how to read and write, I'd co-sign with you. Those kind of women that are out there doing the Lord's work, making their children better, making their community better one step at a time. You know what? If that was the case, I'd personally take a flight down to Washington, D.C., confront Donald Trump myself. If you can show me where that's the case, where sisters are actually doing that are actually concerned about their children, concerned about the community, and trying to do the best that they can, I would co-sign that. Are they doing that? That is the problem with people like you and the other women in the crowd cheering you on. How can you continue to co-sign black dysfunction? When is it going to stop? Now, the cuts are just cuts. Nobody's eliminating the whole Section 8 stuff. Okay, nobody's eliminating it. The SNAP cards were temporary. Barack Obama overextended what they were supposed to do. They're temporary. They issued out more SNAP cards than they were supposed to. It's a structural problem. There's no more money in the SNAP card program to actually run it anymore. It was never supposed to be done. If you actually go back and look, and that's what disgusts me about people, critics like you. In other words, you don't know what the fuck you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You really don't. You're saying what we should do, what I should say. I'm informing people about the reality of the situation so they make better choices. Saying I'm disingenuous. No, I'm not. I'm telling people what the fuck is really going on and to keep away from people that don't know what the fuck that they're talking about. The reason I have 6,000 subs is not because I'm nice. It's not because I'm entertaining. The reason I have 6,000 subs, and people say that's too small because people that listen to the information, I hear it all the time. How come you don't have more subscribers? The reason that they say that, the reason that they call me a master teacher or sensei, is not because they're kissing my ass. It's because I know what the fuck I'm talking about. The reason you don't have 300 subscribers and should have more, even though you can't put together a sentence, is because you do not know what the fuck you're talking about. Prove to me that you know what the fuck that you're talking about, which you have not. I've had a whole bunch of people, my subs included, and I have to shout out to my boy O'Shea Jackson. Okay. They keep telling me that what I'm doing is beneath me. Talking to you is beneath me. That's what they tell me. I tell them the only reason that I do this stuff is because I have a moral obligation, an open policy to actually answer people like you, because that's what I'm here for. And I'm telling you, Black Privilege, you don't know what the fuck that you're talking about. I listened to 8 minutes of you not knowing what the fuck you're talking about. If you wanted solutions, all you had to do was ask. Now, if you want to get together and talk about it, because I do run 8-hour hangouts, and at any time you could have dropped in and we could have discussed the fucking problem. But the reason you haven't is because you know and I know that you don't know what the fuck that you're talking about. That's obvious. I've had 3 people come at me on Section 8, even Big J, who had been bugging me for the last month and a half, and I finally put him on a hangout, got him on a hangout, and sat him in the chair and ran him through this logic. And guess what he found out? He didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. And I have a funny feeling if we got on a hangout and we started talking, that people will find out that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But anyway, this has gone on long enough. And normally when I do shit like this, people say that I'm abusing simps. Now that I have the title of abusing simps now, because I respond to people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I don't know whether I should or not. I don't know if I should waste my time. I got about 10 videos, ideas that are stacked up that I actually need to get out and talk about, because I get requests on a whole lot of topics and people just want my opinion about God knows how many subjects. I'm like, this is becoming a job. So I may have to rethink my policy of responding to critics, because you guys are becoming woefully inadequate and woefully mediocre and let me say woefully ignorant, because the people that know what the fuck they're talking about, they don't even come in and discuss this stuff. If I talk, I have to give Aaron Clary credit. Okay. I have to give him credit. When I type in stuff that makes sense, Aaron Clary doesn't say shit. He's a white dude and he's a right wing Republican. When I type in stuff that's actually accurate about what, and he's a trained economist, he doesn't say shit. When I type in something to Boyce Watkins that's accurate, Boyce Watkins doesn't say shit, because people that know what the fuck they're talking about know when there's something that's accurate. People that actually know what the fuck they're talking about know when there's truth in the air, truth in the room, and truth in a statement. People that have no clue, like you, my brother, get emotional, start spouting off shit and adding shit to a discussion that doesn't belong because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Pick up a book, read about the structure. I've been telling people about books, what to read, how to understand, and even breaking it down to them. But if that's not what you want, that's not what you're here for, man, hey, 1, stay off my channel. 2, don't even talk about me. Go talk to your constituents that are actually going to listen to you. That's how come I had to go back and actually put your name in my comment search and see if you had been there before. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be talking to you right now. Y'all shook over you guys are fucking shook over Section 8. Do you know what's coming? If you knew what's coming, you wouldn't be worried about Section 8 and welfare and SNAP cards. But anyway, I'm going to end this before it gets abusive. Okay. I'm sure Char Willie loves this shit. Because I guess she says, I say clean up a whole lot of trash and sweep a whole lot of trash out that she doesn't have to. Because people are tired of this shit. Anyway,